like football, it's only football right now. You're betting 10, 20, 50, 100. The friendly wager with the homie. This is the podcast for you. Never claim to be industry professionals, but we look goddamn good. Just trying to get you the quick flip off of the sports ting. No long talking, no lies, no limits. This is No Cap Bets. Today is Friday, September 30th, 2022. We're giving you the best picks against the spread for this week's NFL slate. We do the homework, you win the picks, and the NFL is here in full effect. Week 4. This episode has been brought to you by BetStamp, line shopping for the most valuable odds. Any game I place a wager on, we go there first. We got to decide which books. Some of us like one book more than the other. We track the bet and it's off to the races. Download the BetStamp app now and use the promo code NOCAPBETS. Once again, it's BetStamp with the promo code NOCAPBETS. I'm your host, Plus Mo. I got my co-host with me, Heavy365. Say what up.
Yeah, what up?
Happy birthday, bro. How was the birthday?
It was all right. We're gonna get into some stuff on the weekend. So.
That's what's up, yeah. We know the vibes, you know what I'm saying? And we got our senior NFL top correspondent, fantasy champion, back-to-back, looking for the three-peat. He's got some heavy takes. Before we could even get on the air, he was going in on the debate show. It's Get Up with Grizz early in the morning. Our senior NFL top correspondent, Grizz. Say what up to the people, man. All right, let's get a recap going. I think everybody's got a lot to talk about. Heavy with the 7-2, 7-2 on the year, 3-0 last week. Congratulations on that. Why don't we get an idea of how you went about your picks last week? All underdogs, all covers. Let's talk about it.
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet here. Not much to talk about. Like Plus had mentioned, I had 3 dogs. Point blank period, they all won outright. We had the Colts 5.5. They end up defeating the Chiefs. Panthers end up winning outright, and the Dolphins. It was crazy. There was like a punt or some shit like that, and yeah, the Dolphins end up winning by 2. So, like I said, man, we had 3 dogs. They all won outright. Ended up going 3-0. So, can't ask for more than that, though.
And Grizz, I mean, a 2-1 is not so bad, but before we got on air, you expressed a little bit of frustration with how everything went down. You took a great angle, just barely skated on another 2-1, but it could have been a 3-0. Lovie Smith had him at 2.5. Mentioned on the show, if you could get it for 3, take it for 3. Go ahead and give us your thoughts on this week's 2-1.
Nation, another strong week for the squad. We went 7-2. Shout out to Heavy with his 3-0 week. Big things popping.
Thank you, sir.
As for myself, I went 2-1 again. And starting with the lone loss was the Texans, who I took at 2.5. Like I did mention last week, I would have preferred to take it at 3, maybe even 3.5. Now, what was as it came to that game, I mean, they lost late. So it wasn't as if they got beat. But when shopping around for the best line, sometimes you have to be smart about it and find a number that is going to hit. And in this type of situation with 2 crappy teams, 3 is a push, 3.5. It's a sticky situation. But you know what? It's cool. On to the positives. The Ravens.
Please, the positives, yeah.
Yeah, 2.5. And it was a back and forth game.
Yeah.
And it really had me going for a minute, I'm not gonna lie. But then the Ravens took control late, and ultimately it was a cover. And of course I had the Jags in a game that me and Plus were opposed in. And this game wasn't even really close. It looked like little brother came to play.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all noticed, but that rib injury Herbert has is going to be a problem for him. So all in all, a good week. Let's just hope that the Mandem keep it going. Let's go.
And as for me, I went all West Coast and a little bit of Detroit. My picks were very much like shady aftermath. I had the Chargers, and that was the shady part. Going up against Grizz ain't easy, man. The guy knows what he's talking about. He's an NFL correspondent for a reason. And yeah, the Bolts just didn't show up. They're very hobbled right now. I don't know what they're going to look like for the season. Pretty much with the AFC West, forgive me. I don't really even know where to go with this whole division, to be honest, between Russ and the Raiders and the Chargers. It's just not a division that I want to play. The Rams, they showed up. I think we were all kind of happy, congratulating each other. And I just couldn't say congratulations, guys. I had to watch that game right up until the end because I was really fearing the 1 and 2. And then, of course, the Detroit Lions. You know, it was really hard to fade Murky, but I had to make a business decision based on the analytics and all the information that I had. Detroit plays the Vikings tight, so it is what it is. And 6 points, I feel like, was very disrespectful to a team that is on the up and up. So we went 2-1. We're 18-7 on the year. Take that in. The boys are killing it. Exactly where we need to be. Check out the Body Right podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Bless up.
Yeah, jeans look too tight. Yeah, but that shit just right.
And you know what that means. It's time for the locks. You're listening to No Cap Bets, official No Cap Bets on Instagram. Let's get right to it. I'm going to go ahead with the first lock. I'm jumping it off right now. It's in London, bruv. It's in London. And if you think I'm fading Kirk Cousins, you must be stupid, bruv. You're stupid. We're going with the Minnesota Vikings. Is there any surprise here, guys?
Not at all.
Listen,
We know you, bro.
these guys know how I feel about the most efficient quarterback in the last 5 seasons, Kirk Cousins. My second favorite team in the league, the Minnesota Vikings. It was very difficult for me to fade the most efficient quarterback of the last 5 seasons. And it was tough, but I'm not going to do it again. It's a zigzag theory. Give me the Minnesota Vikings. There is just no way you're going to get me to back the New Orleans Saints right now, a team that hasn't covered all year. They look like junk. New Orleans, I can't even think of any other team. I'm literally trying to think, is there a team that's playing worse than them right now in the league? Let me know, guys, because I really don't know. Yeah, of course, Grizz had a great angle on them, the Vikings, that is, a few weeks ago with their primetime slot against Philly. That was almost expected. They've got to win over the Packers, though, so you gotta count that. And the Lions look strong. I would say that they're like middle of the pack, maybe like lower middle tier of the teams this year. So you have this game against the Saints now, which you just have to win because the competition is only going to get worse down the line. I think this line is actually a reflection of the disrespect to the Lions last week. So if you had the Lions at 6-point dogs, and I think the Lions, at least so far, are playing better than the Saints, and the Vikings being overvalued as favorites last week, if they were 6-point favorites against Detroit, why would they be 3.5-point favorites over a team that isn't as good as Detroit? I'm going to go with where I see value here. Yes, we've mentioned on the show, it isn't popular to take the Vikings as favorites. These guys are going to tell you that as soon as I finish my take. But I'm not going to go with an underdog that hasn't covered one time against you this year. Against the Atlanta Falcons, okay. Against the Panthers, you couldn't get a cover. And their game of the year, the game of the year for them, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, didn't show up. I don't know who's paying attention to how bad the Saints are, but that's my first lock. It's the Minnesota Vikings because it makes sense. Any thoughts, guys?
You know what? I want to say versus Minnesota beating Green Bay was that at the beginning of the year, and Green Bay wasn't playing at least before they're playing now. So we'll see when they play again. But as for this game, good luck.
Yeah, because
Good luck to you on that pick.
What's that? Oh, you said good
I
luck?
said best of luck. Yeah, good luck on that one. I like, to me, I couldn't bet it because, yeah, like New Orleans doesn't look good either, but it would probably be Vikings or not for me.
Yeah, and you know, just to Grizz's point, like I really don't care where Green Bay, how good they were playing in week 1. Like Minnesota got the win. And even if Green Bay was playing 60% of their efforts now, that's still better than the Saints. So pertaining to this game, I feel like, yeah, this is a great time to catch value. If you guys can get the Vikings at 2.5 points, go for it and get it. Even at 3, I think they're winning at least by a touchdown. I'm going to go ahead and take it to the next game. You know what, Grizz? I'm going to let you run with this one. If I'm not mistaken, you are involved. Oh, sorry, my bad. This is heavy, man. Mr. Pray for the Best. We got Baltimore, 2 MVPs. Baltimore at home, up against Buffalo. This line is 3. Go on and give it to us, Heavy.
Yep, no surprise here. I'm gonna be going with the Bills -3.
Jeez.
I like the Bills in this spot coming off a tough loss to the Dolphins. Now, if you look at the stat line in that game, the Bills dominated the Dolphins. It could have easily won that one, but it's football, and the Dolphins stole one at home. Now, looking back at last year, the Bills only lost one back-to-back game. Only lost one back-to-back game last year. Now, all 3 games Buffalo have played this year, they've dominated their opponents easily. Line is very telling, having the Ravens as dogs at home. So clearly Vegas has the Bills winning this one in a bounce-back spot. So when the Bills win games, they usually win by big. So I think they win this one by a blowout. I'm going to take the Bills -3 and pray for the best, as we always do every week here on the show.
Heavy's first lock, the Buffalo Bills. Grizz, I haven't seen anything from my Ravens secondary, and going up against Josh Allen and that receiving core, it feels quite dangerous. Any thoughts on Heavy's take here?
You know what? That's an interesting game, and I know that what you're saying, but Buffalo's kind of going through a similar thing, and so it makes for a very interesting matchup.
Similar as what? Like what do you mean they're going through a similar thing?
Their defense is mosh up. Micah Hyde, who's their safety from Green Bay back in the day, he's a guy.
Mm-hmm.
They had Jordan Poyer, who's the other safety or corner, who's banged up. They don't have their top corner, Tre'Davious White. Ed Oliver is out. They have a bunch of guys that are out. So
defense is hobbled, yeah.
So it's like, Lamar's gonna have his openings, but you know what I mean? Good luck.
Yeah, Heavy. I gotta say, man, you know what? You're coming off the 3-0 week. I'm surprised you took such a blockbuster TV game. I'm typically like expecting you to play it safe, but this should be a good one. Honestly, I feel like 3 points is a bit of a trap, but it does lean towards Buffalo. And I don't know about the Ravens as dogs. I'd like to see them perform in that spot.
Keep in mind the line did open around 2 or 2.5. So. We did have a little bit of discussion on this earlier, the guys, and yeah, if you can get it at 2.5, even 2, probably not now, but if you can, shop around, see what you can do. But we're taking the Bills -3.
All right, and then I'm going to take it away from here. We've got the Cleveland Browns on the road up against the Atlanta Falcons. This was one that we had some pretty much hot discussion over too. I'm going to go ahead and take this line at 1, if it's all right with you guys. No complaints. We'll take it at 1. We'll take it at 1. We'll take it at 1.5. Either way, we're going with the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know why these guys thought I would jump in the way and try to take the Cleveland Browns again after they did me dirty. And you know what? Taking Cleveland as favorites has its risk to it, right? You could have did it against Pittsburgh. It might have came through for you. But if you're not paying attention, the dirty birds of the ATL shot, hey, they're 3-0. ATS this year, and they're getting up for every single game. As I said, made the mistake of taking the Cleveland Browns as favorites when they're not really in that prime position. But this is all circumstantial. The Atlanta Falcons, as I said, playing right to their zeros on the clock in every game. Mariota's got a lot to prove. He's got an easy runaway candidate for Rookie of the Year. His name's Drake London. And this is more of a fate of the Cleveland Browns defense. Myles Garrett just got himself a citation for driving his car reckless. He got in a car accident earlier in the week. Didn't sustain any injuries, it seems. But I don't know if he's going to be 100% for this game. And he's the anchor of that defense. And Cleveland's secondary, kind of middle of the pack, giving up 240 a game. And this offense, in my opinion, runs through Nick Chubb. And we all know that all Atlanta has to do is just buckle down on him. They can get this win outright in non-conference games over the last few seasons. Atlanta is 6-2-1 ATS against non-conference opponents. This just makes sense to me. I found Atlanta in the spot. I'm going with the value. Take them 1, take them 1.5, take them to win outright. Atlanta's taking this one. My second lock, the Atlanta Falcons. Just, gentlemen, any thoughts on this take?
No opinion on this game. Best of luck to you, though, on that 1+.
I appreciate that, brother.
Good luck, man. Good luck.
All right. Sounds like y'all not including this one on the no cap parlay. Damn. You know what I'm saying? All right, cool. They don't believe, but God did. So yeah, that's my second lock, the Atlanta Falcons. And then I'm going to swing this right back to you, Heavy. We're really involved in these 1 o'clock games. So we got the Dallas Cowboys up against the Washington Commanders. I'm a little surprised, like NFC East. Let's talk about it. This one's at 3. Go for it.
I'm going to go with the Washington Commanders at +3 for this one.
Mm-hmm.
The Cowboys and Cooper Rush are looking okay, winning their last 2 games. But I really question these wins. The game against the Bengals was more the Bengals beating themselves in that one. Last week, they beat the Giants. And let's be real. Even though I love New York, anybody can beat the G-Men on any given week. So with all this being said, I'm fading Cooper Rush. Being faded by 3. I wouldn't recommend anyone else to get behind him as a fave, as he's got a lot to prove still. So the Commanders are coming off a blowout loss to the Eagles and now catching 3 in a divisional battle. Also being 1-2, gotta think they need this one a little bit more than the Cowboys. Give me Washington +3, man. I kind of really like this spot for Washington. So yeah, I'm going Commanders +3 on this one.
It is a divisional dog, right? So, I mean, that definitely falls within our no cap commandments. So there's a lot of opportunity. I'm going to go with Javier Grizz. I agree with him just in the sense that you got to expect Dallas to kind of fall off from this like Cinderella energy. Dak Prescott's kind of going to come and interrupt the flow. I think that's got to be in Cooper Rush's head a little bit. Like he played for this starting job, and I feel like he deserves it. What are your thoughts on Heavy's take here, taking the Commanders?
Oh, man. You know what? In all Cooper Rush's starts, he's been a dog. And so now that you have him in the favorite position, I don't really feel comfortable with that, especially at a 3. If it was like a 1, you know, it's whatever.
And why do you think Vegas is doing this? Because they know that people are cashing in on Rush. Also in a dog situation. So to have it like completely flip, to a -3, it's like, bro, come in and get it while it's hot. But yeah, we're not falling for that. So I'm going for the Commanders +3 here.
Heavy second lock, the Washington Commanders. And we're going to swing it to you, Grizz, because, yeah, we got to get you involved. You got some 1 o'clock games that you want to talk about. I'm really curious because you definitely wanted to make your point known that you want this line at 4.5. It's Detroit up against the Seattle Seahawks. Line's 4.5. Go on and talk the talks.
All right. Well, Nation, for my first lock of the week, I'm going to hit the siren on the Seahawks +4.5. My reasoning behind this is fairly simple, as we've been talking all show. The Lions are a dog team, meaning I can't, won't, don't take them in a position of a favorite. Surprisingly, though, if you take it in Seattle, they've been fairly efficient on offense, which kind of gives me a little hope. And if you've been watching, you see that the Lions defense hasn't been so efficient. And it definitely helps that the Lions are going to be without DeAndre Swift, who's their top running back, possibly without TJ Hawkinson, their top tight end, and possibly without Amon St. Brown, their top wide receiver at the moment. So all these missing players, potentially, I don't know how this is going to work for Detroit. So I definitely like the fade of the Lions and the favorite. Give me the Seahawks.
Grizz's first lock, the Seattle Seahawks. Have you any thoughts to this? I mean, I feel like it's a little sticky, you know. I mean, if you get it at 4.5, that's great. If it goes down to 4, I don't know, you know. What are your thoughts on this one?
To me, this is like Vegas catching up with the Lions and trying to like price them correctly, but I don't even know if they have them priced correctly on this game because 4.5, you couldn't put a gun to my head and make me take 4.5. So yeah,
I think
I like this. Yeah.
I think that to some degree, people are not sure, like just like how you said, of where the Lions kind of fall in the market. Just last week, we talked about it. When they were up against Minnesota, it's not the Lions of the past. Like, this is not last year's Lions. This is not Matt Patricia's Lions. So people aren't really comfortable with where to take them. And yeah, seeing them in a favorite spot is a little scary. Is this one at home?
This one's in Detroit, yeah.
Ford Field. This is not the Obia house, but we got to see how Geno performs on the road. And we spoke about that last week. He looks comfortable.
Yo, Geno Smith, to be honest, like I've like given him a lot of slander this year, and I'll be honest, like watching his games, he definitely looks comfortable in the Seattle offense. So I'll give that much to him still.
Grizz's first lock, the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to pass it right back to you. It's a AFC South game between the Colts and the Titans. I don't know. I have the feeling you're going to kind of call this a shit bowl. I feel like the Colts are finally turning it around. This line's 3.5. What do you got for us, Grizz?
All right. For my second lock of the week, I'm going to go back to Tennessee. I'm taking the Titans at plus 3.5. Now, my reasoning has a lot to do with the fact that while Indy did get off the schneid last week, I can't help but think that was more of a Kansas thing than an Indy thing. Therefore, remember, Indy was down by 10 in the fourth at one point. And as we noted last week, shout out to Heavy again, it was a potential look-ahead spot for Kansas. So aside from the fact that this is a divisional dog, that us at No Cap Bets love, I was more than, and plus the fact that I was more than impressed by the efforts of the Titans last week. I don't see the Colts being better than the Raiders. So at a 3.5, I feel very confident in the Titans making this cover. Give me the Titans.
Grizz's second lock, the Tennessee Titans. Heavy divisional dog. Colts, you took them last week. Bit of a hangover maybe after such an emotional win, because I felt it for them. I think like everybody in the world was happy for the Colts. What are your thoughts on this take?
The line is priced a little too high, man. So I definitely would have to go with Grizz and the Titans here. I'm not going to jump out of the
jump out the window.
The Colts, yeah, jump out the window and think the Colts are like this great team already. Like 3.5, you're crazy. So yeah, I'll go Titans 3.5.
From 5.5 dogs last week to 3.5 favorites, yeah, and that almost kind of shows no respect for the Titans. I really like Grizz's take on here, and you're giving us 3 and a hook. So even if it comes down to a field goal, you get yourself a cover. I expect the Titans to really show up. In all fairness, like they went up against the Bills, they looked pretty bad, and you can kind of expect them to want to rebound and save their season at this point. So I think that, the Tennessee needs this more than anything, and they're a division dog. We love that at No Cap Bets. It's Grizz's second lock, the Tennessee Titans. Some games that we just will not touch. I was really looking at this Giants and Bears game. I'm personally leaning the Bears. I don't know if any of you guys had something to do with it, but obviously we're not involved in giving it away as our locks, but I kind of like the way that Justin Fields looks right now. I feel like the Giants are really going to start showing themselves. Heavy, you mentioned that, hey, any team could beat the Giants on any given night.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know. I don't have an opinion on this game. So
yeah.
Shout out to the G-men. Hopefully they can do their thing.
But yeah, I like what I'm seeing from Justin Fields last week. They even did that little John Morant backdoor. Like if you, when the dudes are going back to the locker room, they got the camera in his face saying, yo, stay over there with that energy if you wasn't riding with the Bears. So I feel like they're on their way to string together some wins. But like I said, we're not involved. I'm going to go ahead to a game that I am involved in, and it is the Eagles versus Jacksonville. Now, I got beat last week by taking the Chargers, and I said it was a big brother, little brother, but little brother grew up, and that's what I failed to realize. So I'm going with the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is kind of against our adage where you take them, then you fade them, because, Grizz found them in a great spot last week as dogs, and now they're dogs again, which I don't quite understand, because this team is looking good this year, in my opinion. I feel like the Jacksonville Jaguars are kind of middle of the pack for me. And I just wanted to maybe steal a little bit from our senior NFL top-to-top correspondent. If you were paying attention last week, he mentioned the head coach angle. Win this one for Lovey. Ronald Isley, Mr. Biggs. Well, the head coach of Jacksonville Jaguars, Doug Peterson, he brought the Philadelphia Eagles a whole Super Bowl and got fired. Now he's got himself one of the best quarterbacks of the future, Trevor Lawrence. Last night after the Miami game, shout out to Tua, wishing him a speedy recovery. Miami, you're trash. I I went back to the national championship, Clemson versus Alabama, where Trevor Lawrence torched Alabama, put up something like 40-plus points. Obviously, like Etienne ran some in, whatever, but Trevor Lawrence pretty much owned that Alabama defense. Now, I know I'm just talking about college, but why is this important? Because there might be a little bit of a revenge angle here. Jalen Hurts never got a chance to play in that game until Clemson was blowing him out because Tua was the starter. So when I look at the quarterback matchup, of course, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Jalen might remember that game, but we don't do any more personal angles on no cap bets. At the end of the day, we're talking about one quarterback being better than the other. Jalen wasn't even good enough to start that game. They put Tua ahead of him. Trevor Lawrence was the clear-cut best quarterback on the field, and that's what I expected in this game as well. So he torched them back then. Plus, we're talking about that head coach versus quarterback versus the old team. There's nobody that understands the Philly system better than Doug Peterson. I don't really see any other reason. I feel like this line is kind of disrespectful to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So my third and final lock, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Any thoughts, guys?
I like it because of the whole Peterson angle. So, yeah, if I had to go, it'd probably be Jacksonville. Jacksonville or nothing.
Grizz?
You know what? I love Jacksonville this week. I love the coaching angle, and there's another coaching angle that people won't even know. The linebacker coach that's on Jacksonville right now was part of the defensive coaching staff on Tampa in the playoffs when they played Philadelphia. And made Jalen Hurts look like a jabroni. So you have that additional intel as well.
That's why we call you our senior. Yeah, that's why we call you the senior NFL top correspondent. Adam Schefter, watch your back, bro. We got Grizz in the building. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to take it right to you quickly, just touching on a game we're not involved. These big games, Mike Tomlin going up against the New York Jets. It's tricky. It's 3.5. None of us are touching it. Any thoughts on this one, Grizz, why you're not involved, or did you have a look at this game?
To be honest, I like the Steelers as a dog, and I don't like this game. I don't like how they've been playing. Until Kenny Pickett comes in, I don't know if I'm really going to be backing them too tough. And
heavy, it's a New York team. I'm surprised you didn't even have a look at this one. Why are you not involved?
I'm not involved, brother. Just keep it up.
Yeah, no long talking. I love it. There's a game that Grizz is involved in, and I gave him a little warning because Heavy, you had a great take on the Arizona Cardinals. You took Baker Mayfield last week and came through with that. I hope to God on this show we're not taking Baker Mayfield 2 times in a row, making no cap history. But I'm going to pass it to you, Grizz. This line is 1.5 or 1?
Currently, I have it at 1.5.
Okay, so we're going to call it at 1.5. It's the Arizona Cardinals on the road against the Carolina Panthers. Go ahead.
All right, Nation. For my last lock of the week, I'm going to go hit the siren on the Cardinals plus 1.5.
Yeah.
Now, while the Cardinals, they lost last week, that was kind of expected. They don't play good versus the Rams in the McVay era. And they don't really play good at home. So there's that. They have been a road dog. They've been 9-1 in the last 2 years, have you?
I believe so.
Yep. Now 10-1.
Oh, 10-1. So even better. Carolina got their first win last week against the Saints. But I like the Cardinals. I think they can win this outright. And I don't have no trust in Baker Mayfield. So give me the Redbirds.
I love the take because, Heavy, you gave us all the intel that we needed to hear on Arizona. I think it's pretty much going to be automatic that we're taking Cardinals on the road when we see them, if we are involved in that game. And staying away from Baker Mayfield after we've taken him might be the wise move. What are your thoughts on Grizz's take there?
It's a great take, and I would have only taken the Cardinals here. How do you go against 10-1?
Yeah.
You can't do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Cardinals are nothing, no cap, Gary. Let's get it, man.
All right, Nation. And we've got one more lock. Quickly, just going to tell you some games that we're not involved in. We've got Green Bay going up against the Patriots. That line is 9.5. Nobody's touching it. The Sunday night game, we have Tampa Bay going up. This is box office. Brady versus Mahomes. Tampa Bay's a 1-point favorite. None of us are touching that. Maybe a little closer to game time. I might see what it looks like. And the Monday nighter, I can't even understand how the Niners, I might have to do some research. Somebody's got to be hurt or something like that. The Niners on the Monday night game are favored against this defending Super Bowl champs, Los Angeles Rams, 2.5. But let's talk about the last game that we are involved in. Oh, and of course, the Bolts and the Texans, we're not touching that, 5.5. But the one that we are involved in heavy, you're going to finish this one up. It's the Broncos versus the Raiders. Is Russ cooking? Like, he got an 11-10 win. Like, it's looking ugly over there. Who are you rolling with on this one?
I'm going to be going with the Raiders, -2 here. -2.5. I guess that's the line that we have it at right now. But if you can find a -2, take it there. Starting with the Raiders, who are currently 0-3 and 0-3 against the spread. To me, this is Josh McDaniels trying to figure out things as the Raiders' new head coach. Only problem is he can't get his team to play a full 4 quarters of quality football. Now, if you think about it, the Raiders could easily be 3-0 right now. If they don't lose a close one to the Chargers, who can forget the second half collapse against the Cards, plus a score away from pushing overtime against the Titans? Say what you want, but I feel like the Raiders are due for some good karma here in this spot. Not much to say about the Broncos. They seem to be confused on both sides of the ball. Russell isn't looking like Russell, and the coach, don't let me get started on him. So I'll take the Raiders at a buy low spot at a -2 for my lock this week. I just can't bet the Broncos. They got to be probably the flukiest 2-1 team right now, if you ask me. So yeah, I'm going with the Raiders. Something's got to go for these guys. 0-3, like I said at the beginning, 0-3 and 0-3 against the spread. You got to think something goes their way. So I'm going with the Raiders.
And a big reason why I got to say I like that take heavy is because, it's the same reason why I felt like your Colts take was so potent. Like, these guys are professionals at the end of the day. I don't know if you heard Devontae Adams. He was speaking to the press, just letting them know this is frustrating for him. Like, they're not supposed to be 0-3.
He's coming from Green Bay, so he's expecting much more than this.
He's a winner.
He is a winner. So you got to think he's bringing up. Yeah, and he's talking to those guys. So like you said, man, you got to be hearing these things 0-3. Like, what's going on with you guys? Got to get a dub, man. And I think this is the week to do it. So,
Grizz, you had something to say?
Sorry, Grizz.
Well, I want to say Devontae Adams should have thought twice before he pushed his way out of Green Bay.
Okay, buddy. Yeah, I don't. Hey, everybody's gonna go where the bag is at. You know what I'm saying? That's why we use BetStamp to shop for the best lines. You know what I'm saying? And we know, Grizz, you like to fight for your line, so let that man fight for his bag.
You're right.
So, with that being said, we're just gonna wrap this thing up. Grizz, our senior NFL top correspondent, doing real well on the year for sure. You know what I'm saying? We got Seattle, Tennessee, and the Arizona Cardinals. Heavy, you're keeping it New York with Buffalo against the Ravens. You got the Washington Commanders up against the Cowboys, and just like you mentioned, the Oakland Raiders. And as for myself, it's a murky thing. Minnesota Vikings in London, bruv. And then we're going to go all the way down to the ATL, shawty, with the Atlanta Falcons, and keep it in the South with the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you liked everything that you heard, make sure you like us, subscribe, hit us up on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. But most important, now we're getting subscriptions up. You seeing us live right here on YouTube. We're running it up. Shout out to all our subscribers. We're hitting our goals. Yeah, we had a great month on YouTube. So make sure you guys keep hitting that like, subscriptions. We see all y'all in the comments. And to the No Cap Nation, it has been another episode of No Cap Bets for my co-host Heavy365, our senior NFL top correspondent. I'm Plus. Bless up.